Hello Scorpio, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for July. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout influences to watch out for. Please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the ins and outs that are going to affect your sign in particular. Now, as we start this month, your two ruling planets of Mars, your traditional ruler, and your modern ruler of Pluto are in conflict. Now, this is an aspect that's running on from the end of June, and it can create quite a lot of tension. Pluto's in the part of your horoscope to do with your thoughts. Pluto can disguise things, and also it can be to do with power and leverage. Mars, however, is much more to do with thrust and desire. So a little bit of impatience can lead to some nervous tension at the start of this month. However, your ruler Mars is going to be on the march, and on the 5th moves into your opposite sign. So I need to share about that. That's really exciting. Also, as you come into this month, the new moon, which occurred on the 29th of June in your sister water sign of Cancer, is still very potent, and that was in a square with Jupiter, the planet of growth and fortune. So that can be helpful, so I need to decipher that for you. Also, Venus, the planet of love and affection, is in a very deep and sensual part of your scope as July starts, not unlike some of the energies of your own sign. But we are going to see a big clash between the Sun and Pluto in the second half of this month, and that's something that could be quite delicate. So please stay with me as I pick through all of these issues. But when it comes to your desire to raise your profile and be more successful, there's an incredible new moon which occurs on the 28th of July that could be really profoundly helpful. Now, if you would like to understand astrology more from your personal viewpoint, if you give me 3 pieces of birth data of time, date and place, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life. Along with that, you can also get in my special package a 12-month forecast and get 30% off. No two reports are the same, they're totally unique to you, and please see the link beneath this video for more. Now, I'm cresting around about the 100,000 mark on subs. If you can help to push me forwards, I'd be very grateful. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. But if you'd like to do so now, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. And please stay with me now for your in-depth forecast. So Scorpio, as this month begins, your desire to widen your horizons, maybe even to travel, is really emphasized, and that's going to get stronger as this month goes on, because on the 5th Mercury moves into your sector of long distance travel, but also anything to do with higher education or learning new skills or contracts is emphasized. And then on the 18th of July, you have the glorious Venus moving into your 9th house too. This is wonderful for experiencing new cultures, feeding your senses with anything that's remotely exotic, but also in a relationship context, perhaps really having a much greater understanding of the truth that lies between you and anyone that you're close to. So an exciting possibility is developing as you come into this month to widen your horizons. But of course, one of the strengths of your sign is that you're a sticker and you're a fixed sign, and you adhere to a particular pattern of lifestyle that makes you feel comfortable. But when things get transformed, it can often happen in a very dramatic way. And I think it's possible that something around a relationship matter can really come under the astral microscope as this month comes to a close. And this is because on the 5th of this month, your traditional ruler Mars moves into your 7th house. Now already you have Uranus and the North Node in this location. Uranus has probably been stirring things up in terms of some close relationships over the last few years, Whether you've been in one or not, your relationship to your relationships has likely changed. You're either wanting to liberate yourself from past patterns, or perhaps detach yourself from a relationship which has no longer worked. On the other hand, you could have the impulse to connect to those people who you feel could be exciting and bring truth and clarity to your relationship sector. So Mars moving into this area can give you a lot of thrust. Now, the good thing about Mars on the 7th house is it can help us to stand up for ourselves. But you've seen just before this moment that Mars and Pluto, your rulers, were in that tense right angle. So something might have been chaffing and quite abrasive once Mars moves into the 7th. Now, you can continue to assert your boundary, and that might be necessary, but it's important to know also when to actually listen to other people's viewpoints as well. But if you do work in a very competitive job, or you like competitive sports, you can really flourish in the 6 weeks from the 5th of this month. But by the end of this month, the last 5 days, Mars aligns with Uranus. Now that could bring something to pass in a relationship situation which really makes your pulse race, because Uranus can see things happen very quickly. Mars is about desire. The 7th house is about relationships. So something can compel you towards someone, or perhaps see you want to separate yourself from something that's not working quite well. But it could be quite intense as this month comes to a close. But in week 2 of this month, the Sun in that 9th house energy forges a delicious link with Uranus in your 7th house. Now, this could mean that a friend gets in touch and says, look, someone's dropped out of an expedition overseas. Would you like to come and replace them? Or you may see an opportunity comes up, perhaps a late cancellation or a price reduction, and be able to go off somewhere pretty speedily, and that can actually be really exhilarating and fun. Now, it's also true from the 11th through to the around about the 17th, Venus in your 8th house is actually forging a very constructive link with Saturn, which has been causing that mischief in your sector of emotion, home and family. If there have been strains in that area over the last few years, it wouldn't be a surprise. But something to do with a property matter could unfold to your advantage at the heart of this month. But on the 13th, we do have the full moon in the sign of Capricorn. And of course, that's where Pluto, your modern ruler, is residing. Now, this full moon, therefore, could lead to some intense conversations, exchanges of ideas. Maybe you want to expand your horizons, but someone close to you wants to maintain the status quo. Perhaps it's someone around you who wants to be more daring, and it's you who's more conservative and more adhered to those routines and patterns. But if it's not quite working out, the dialogue between you, because the Sun and Mercury oppose Pluto from the 17th through to the 22nd, broadly in the case of Mercury, much more accurately in the case of the Sun and Pluto, there could be a bit of an arm wrestle. And maybe it's going to be over a point of principle. If you're wanting to be more expansive in terms of an enterprising idea you've got, if you're an entrepreneurial type of person, maybe is you're going to find a lot of desire to make sure that your ideas really gain traction. The problem with the Sun opposite Pluto is there's almost an attraction to personality clashes. And if you have this, or people have this in a natal horoscope, it can be quite tricky. There's a lot of politics that's always seeming to be around relationships, a lot of leverage. So look out for that situation in your world. I would say don't try too hard, even if you feel very passionately about something. You need to appraise just how much it's worth investing yourself in it if it is going to get rather unpleasant, because it can do so with the Sun opposite Pluto. But equally, if you feel that someone's trying to push you around, then quite rightly do stand your ground. Now on the 18th, Venus, as I described before, moves into your 9th house. So even more, that desire to have new stimulation and arouse your senses in some kind of way, very, very important. But in a relationship, if there is a big tete-a-tete going on, I think Venus can kind of help to smooth things out a little bit and essentially say, look, maybe it's good that that things have been brought out into the open, that they've been ventilated, and Venus can help to repair things. But then on the 19th, Mercury moves right to the top of your chart, your 10th house, joined by the Sun on the 22nd. Now the Sun loves being in Leo, it rules this sign. So if you're really wanting to gain extra attention and credit and recognition for your skills, your ideas, or your hard work, the next month is going to be really critical, particularly on the back of the new moon, which occurs on the 28th, because that forges a very auspicious trine, which is very enabling to Jupiter, the planet of fortune, in your sector of work. So if you want to apply for a new job, the end of this month can prove perfect timing, but also that energy runs right through the spine of August. So it's quite a big astrological window of opportunity. But of course, with Jupiter going retrograde, it's just important that your expectations are real as well as positive. And I do feel it's possible to make those two approaches coexist. You know, we can be self-confident, we can try to elevate our profile, but at the same time, if we go about things in a systematic way, for example, don't try to blag and say that we can do more than we're realistically able to achieve, then that's going to gain much greater recognition, and that can engender a sense of trust and confidence. Whereas if we try to be the big shot, then people can be rather suspicious of that. So I think basically that's a new moon that's saying don't try too hard. And if you've got ideas, skill sets and talents that you feel are worthy of much greater praise and acknowledgement, then go for it. But of course, as I mentioned before, Mars is conjunct Uranus as this month draws to a close. Maybe that will push you to take on some kind of challenge, because being a fixed sign, there can be a tendency for you to stay with what you know because it does feel comfortable. But then, because your sign is very much to do with evolution, circumstances, which is very Plutonian, can push a change on you, even if you've previously really resisted the prospect of a change. So I would say be proactive this month. That's a key thing. And if you do have that big tete-a-tete, a big conversation that goes on this month, take it in your stride and see it as an opportunity to create much greater personal clarity in your thinking, but also really make sure that you say what you mean and mean what you say. It's been a pleasure being with you. Take care and goodbye for now.